Technology functions, and it is Captain Michael Parkhurst. So how's your bracket, Cap?
I didn't have a great day one. However, I will say that I didn't have a catastrophic day one.
Okay. Because I'm one of those guys that likes chaos early, but by the time I get into the actual meat of after the first weekend, I'm fairly chalkish after the first weekend. And, I let myself have fun with the first round, second round, but by the time I'm out of there, I'm like, no, it's ones and twos and maybe the occasional threes and fours. I don't go too crazy after the first weekend. See, I had Charleston and Oral Roberts yesterday. It's like 13s and 14s.
Mm-hmm.
Did not have Furman and definitely did not have Princeton. But I figured, if you pick Oral Roberts, and I made this point earlier in the show, that you kind of, if you're looking to be a team that's going to score an upset, you kind of have to score. Just as a thought. Oral Roberts was down 11-0 early, and you're sitting there going, okay, if you're trying to upset Duke, you kind of need to score points.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I like to pick against Duke usually, but they've been really good down the stretch, so I did not. So in our family bracket, I did actually pick Princeton for no reason whatsoever. But I didn't have UVA losing, but didn't get crushed, so it was all right.
All right. So when it comes to topics, I don't know why this particular topic popped into my head this morning, and I know we'll talk about Atlanta United as we go. Maybe it was because Zlatan got picked for his national team for the first time since, 1742 for this go-round of friendlies. Yeah, that's coming up. He got picked for the Swedish national team.
It's got to be a send-off, right?
You would think. Let's see, Ibrahimovic. You're having me spelling Ibrahimovic. I want to get it right. So yeah, because there was 41-year-old Zlatan Ibrahimovic is called up for Sweden's Euro 2024 qualifiers against Belgium and Azerbaijan.
Well, I guess if it's Euro qualifiers, it's not a send-off.
Okay. Well, but I mean, it could be like his last time of doing it. So it's like, dude, we need your power forward presence. We need you to conquer the Euros again. That's what we need. You conquered Major League Soccer because just ask him. He conquered MLS. And he's conquered everything else. So it's time to conquer the Euros again, 41-year-old man. So it's like, we need you out there. And then maybe by the time that, 2024 is done, you just it's like, okay, it was great. It was a send-off. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
But I saw that with Zlatan, and I'm like, ego. I don't know where that connection came from in my head, but when it comes to ego and confidence, it's a very, very fine line when it comes to those two particular words. When it comes to dealing with mentees, do you have to sit there and remind them of that balance because it is a delicate balance? Are they more confident these days than we were growing up playing? I mean, how would you gauge today's younger athlete? Are they more confident, and do they have to be dialed back? How do you view them today?
Oh, there's a lot more on the edges, I think. Like you've got the kids that are bordering the ego, and you have to try and bring them down a little bit. But then you've got the kids that are afraid to show too much confidence because they don't want to be conceived as cocky and arrogant. And for those, we try and tell them like, hey, it's okay to have a little bit of that, and you need a little bit of that to be successful, especially as you get up the levels. You have to think that you're the best. You have to have that supreme confidence, and you have to have that like strut, that belief of like, yeah, it's in me. I've got it in me. And like you said, there's that line of, guys that are egotistical and tough to work with and just jerks and things like that. So you can cross that line, but I'll tell you, some of the best players I ever played with, it's like they've got it, and they toe that line, and sometimes they go over a little bit over it. But you understand that that's what they need, and that's what pushes them to be great.
What about you when you were really getting that idea of I'm really good at this and I'm good at this in the development level and collegiate level and in Major League Soccer? How how confident were you externally and how confident were you internally? Because I would think that those are two different things too, because you can be the most confident person inside, but you talk about having it translate into your activities. How confident were you? And I guess, did you have to kind of dance that dance between ego and confidence when you were growing up?
Not really. I think that I was brought up in a way that, the ego wasn't allowed. I didn't have anybody around showing me exactly like this is an ego and like, just that type of mentality and attitude. So it was definitely, I was confident. And I think that maybe it was just because I was pretty good at most sports from a young age. So I think that helped. So confidence was not usually an issue for me when I was younger. And I don't know, just finding that balance was it came natural to me, I think, a little bit, because I knew that I didn't want to show up anybody or anything like that. But I knew that it was important for my success. And that's just how I played. I just went out there and was like, believed that I was going to be one of the best ones out there.
Yeah, and I mean, there are those, even if it's not just in athletics, there are those in whatever form of life we are in. We always see those who are confident and they want to surround themselves with other folks who are just as confident, not egotistical, but share their same goals and levels of confidence so you all can work your way forward. But also, I mean, hell, in my business, you got folks who got egos, no doubt about it. And I know that you've seen them in locker rooms with microphones and all this kind of stuff. And there's always that moment where you want to sit there and it's like, okay, well, that dude needs a dressing down. That dude needs a dressing down. This guy's confident. I can deal with him. And that's why I wanted to ask about the delicate balance that we see, because we can all be confident. But I think that if we surround ourselves with those who are confident and not egotistical, I think that the collective succeeds in that regard, where you're not having to dial somebody back in because of their ego. So everything can be so everything can work as one. It's like the collective Borg kind of an idea where you don't have that one outlier and everything works. I mean, that seems like something where you might have to take that cane and grab that person and drag them in. Did you ever have any situations that you knew of where folks had to drag that one person back in so the whole unit could be successful?
Yeah, I think that, we've all been around people that just don't have that correct filter, right? And not just language wise and saying things, right? But just any type of filter as far as what they say or how they act, what they do, right? And you're just like, man, this guy doesn't just get societal norms and, how to act and be appropriate in certain situations and things like that.
Did you ever have to pop somebody in the back of the head and go, look, dude, dial it back?
No, I never, not like that. Just wasn't my personality. But I went into a locker room in New England that, like Shalrie Joseph wasn't going to let you do it. Like Taylor Twellman wasn't going to let you do it. So those were more, old school guys that held things to a certain standard in a certain way. But yeah, I think that, Joseph was the prime example in our locker room, right? Just of like so emotional and not really egotistical, I don't think, just more emotional, but of towing the line of like, that's too far versus, hey, this is what the team needs to hold ourselves accountable and push us and those types of things. We definitely had some cocky players throughout my career that I dealt with. And when things were going great, it was okay and good and good guys to be around. And when things weren't, it was like, those were the first guys pointing fingers and not taking any blame. And, it's not my problem type attitude. And that's tough to navigate for sure.
I was going to say, how difficult is it to function as a unit when you have those? I'll use the word wild cards. When you have those kinds of individuals in a locker room, how difficult is that?
Yeah, I think that's why they call them like the cancers within the locker room, because they spread quickly, right? It's just like people kind of are swayed by those individuals sometimes, and that's the fear and within a locker room, right? Of how quickly does a bad egg spoil the rest of the locker room, and that's the fear of any coach when you're talking about, well, this guy's a great player, but oh man, he's got an attitude. Right. Well, if it's just one, you can manage it. But if that one has influence over 5 other guys within a locker room, then you've got a problem. And, that's the danger. And so that needs to be reeled in sometimes quickly before other guys get the feeling of, oh, you know what, I can get away with this too. Oh, I can act like this too. And I can do these things too. Because certain individuals have certain rights and certain things that they can get away with based off their skill. And, but also we're all so different, right? I was talking to a mentee the other day about, like, you have to find what works for you. And we were talking about nutrition. And I was talking about how Darlington Nagbe had the nutrition of like an 8-year-old. He was just unbelievable, but he was so ripped and so fit and obviously such a good player. But then he's just eating like junk all the time. It's just unbelievable to see. But he's an outlier and an outcast. Like, you can't base your nutrition off of what Darlington ate, because, it just doesn't work for the natural human being. And same thing with what we're talking about, right? Like, you can't base how you act off of the one guy that's got a crazy attitude that it works for him. And it maybe he toes the line and it's allowed a little bit because of his success on the field. Right. All that stuff comes into play.
Okay, so since you've opened this door, I guess this will start the Atlanta United section of the program. Yes, properly hydrate. Yes, please. Darlington and that diet. Have you ever, outside of seeing Darlington, has there been anybody else, short of maybe Marshawn Lynch, who just, dug Skittles or whatever, have you ever seen an individual with a diet plan brought to you by the Golden Arches that was as talented as Darlington was as a teammate? Have you ever seen anyone else with a diet plan like that be as successful as Darlington as a professional athlete?
Not like personally. I know Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, he talks about like eating McDonald's all the time as a professional. So he's one in another sport, but no teammates of mine, at least not high level performing teammates, where it was just like a shock to see and to witness.
When you tell the Darlington Nagbe diet plan to your mentees, what is their first reaction? Do you have to have them pick their jaw up off the floor, considering all of the road work and the diet and the vitamins and the milk and all that kind of stuff, quoting Hulk Hogan? But what's their first reaction when you're talking to mentees about Darlington and McDonald's?
Yeah, you have to be careful how you say it, because I don't want them to be influenced, like, oh, he does it, so it's okay for me to do it type thing. It's definitely way more of like how I framed it earlier of, we're all such different human beings and there's outliers everywhere. And you have to understand if you're an outlier or not. And most of us are not.
Yeah, yes, that is true. But it makes you wonder, in the McDonald's diet, does he just strictly go to like the double quarter pounder with cheese, or does he actually go to the fillet of fish? Does he actually try the salad? Does he actually, do the smoothies? Does he, is it just locked into like the nastiest stuff ever, or does he actually go through the menu and sit there and look at things that are actually maybe remotely healthy? What did he unwrap in front of you?
The first preseason he joined Atlanta United, we were roommates, and he opened up a backpack just full of, like, as if you went to any convenience store and just like wiped down the candy chips aisle and just shoved it in your bag. Not only that, but like every night, almost every night, he would order room service food. So like burger and fries, nothing like crazy. And an apple pie, a little slice of apple pie with some ice cream.
Okay.
But so that was just crazy to me. Because, not that that's like the worst stuff, but it's not healthy stuff to be eating, especially in preseason.
No.
And not the candy as well. So yeah, that was an eye opener for me just to see like, oh my gosh. But I don't think it was so much a McDonald's thing. It was like, basically you'd expect him to order off the kids menu. Chicken nuggets, burgers, fettuccine Alfredo, that type of stuff.
Apparently Usain Bolt loved his chicken McNuggets as well. So, maybe there's...
I do remember hearing about that, I think he was talking about the Olympic Village when I heard it. And I only stayed one night in the Olympic Village when we went to the Olympics. And we only stayed one night because Argentina was right above us. They were up all night. And it really affected us. And so our coach was like, we're out of here. But the food at the Olympic Village, and this was in Beijing, was terrible. And there was a McDonald's within the cafeteria area. So I get why these athletes were like, at some of these locations at the Olympics is like, okay, you want to put something in your body that it's kind of used to, or like it will digest okay. So I get it in that perspective.
Okay. We do have, since you did play for Atlanta United, and we're based here in Atlanta, we do have folks with an Atlanta United question. Top of the table, what do you think? 7 points, first 3 matches, and Hospital FC with Portland coming to town. What do you think?
Yeah, I saw the injury report for Portland, and that looks kindful to Atlanta United. I think that they've struggled out of the gates. I usually don't see the West play that often, but for whatever reason, I forget who Portland's played. Maybe their first game was like a rain out, so they were on by themselves maybe on Monday. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was the snow and they had to push it. It was
So I've seen Portland play a couple times this season, which is kind of weird for me. But I haven't been really impressed. You see signs from their new signing, the new 10 there, but they really haven't figured out how to get him the ball a lot. And I don't know. It's just their strikers looked terrible to me. I had to look him up to think, who is this guy? Because he was shockingly bad, I thought.
Wow.
But he's had some success in MLS. So I don't know. Maybe just had a bad start to the season. But anyways, Atlanta United, yeah. I mean, it's positive, right? It's the performance from Charlotte was very, very good. Take nothing away from that performance because it was fantastic. Very, very dominant performance, which was great to see, right? That's the Atlanta United that we want to see. I think the 2 home games were a little bit underwhelming from my perspective. So I'm not quite yet on the boat of like, we're back or, we're title contenders or anything like that. Because I thought Almada bailed us out week 1. Week 2, we get Toronto, who didn't care to win that game. And, we couldn't win the game. So, I think overall the first 2 games were a little disappointing, but in the end, you're as good as your points tell you are. So, you know what, top of the table, 7 points and not playing your best. Hey, that's great. Right. I think this is absolutely not only a winnable game, but this is another one of those like San Jose Toronto games where it's like, you need to win this game. This is like, I don't want to say free points because you still have to go out there and perform and play, but Portland's not a top team in my eyes. And they've got so many injuries that, you got to win this game, especially at home. And then you're sitting at 10 points and you're in a good spot. So, I'm excited because we also haven't had 2/3 or half of our starting front attack start yet. And so when Etienne and Gigi do start, I think that'll provide a lift.
When a team like Toronto, and probably what I'm anticipating from Portland, when a team has zero interest in playing because of injuries, Toronto didn't have Insigne, so basically they played like the ball had cooties and just kicked it, and it's like we're giving you the responsibility of playing, and we're going to put 17 behind the ball, and good luck to you. How difficult is that for a team to try to knock down that wall when you know all of the effort and all of the energy is going to be exerted by you on this day because of the external factors from the team that has come into your building? How difficult is a match like that?
It's tough. It's not easy to get those results, and that's where that first goal becomes so important, so crucial, especially if you can get it early, right? But it's mental game as well of like, you feel like you can push 10 guys forward, and then all of a sudden they catch you on the counter attack and you go down. And you feel like you can take all these risks, and you need to take some for sure. But those are tough games, right? So don't get me wrong, those are challenging games. But I'd still rather be on the team that's going into that game thinking we need to push, we need to score, than, oh shoot, we're going to go defend for 90 minutes and hopefully we can get one on the counterattack. I'd still much rather be United in that situation. So, it was good that they battled back from the deficit, because that's been a struggle for Atlanta United over the course of 5-6 years. So, that was good for sure within the first two games, and especially in the Toronto game with a team that's, like you said, sitting 12 guys behind the ball. So, definitely some positives to take away from it, but it's a huge challenge. And I always think sometimes in a game like that, right, where it's always like you're trying to push, press. I always thought, you know what, sometimes why don't we come back to our own half of the field and let them attack? Like, come attack us a little bit, and let's see if we can catch you on the counter, right? And let it open up. See if maybe we can attack before they get 11 guys behind the ball, right? I don't know. It's just a different way to think about it. I always thought about it when I was playing, like, just let them come out, like, let them play, versus like every time we attack, I'm standing at the midfield line and everybody's, within that half of the field. So I don't know.
Almost drawing your opponent into a trap, knowing that they're going to be packing in. So you want to, it's like, okay, no, it's okay. It's okay. You can come out. It's
exactly.
Cool. And then hit them hard.
Exactly.
Okay. Question from Ricky Ricardo. Wanted to know thoughts about the success of Atlanta United's left backs. Feels like it has been and will be a strength for a while, including what we're seeing from Caleb Wiley when he plays left back, even when he's at left wing. What do you think about what's going on with the left backs here with Atlanta United?
Yeah, I think they're in a good spot there, especially going forward. I think Gutman is one of our most dangerous players going forward, no matter if he's playing center back, left back, wherever he is on the field. It's crazy. He's just popping up, and I think it's just due to his work ethic. He's just willing to go. That said, I think that, on the defensive side, we've probably seen some problems there, where other teams have kind of taken advantage of that position there. I've been a little bit surprised that they haven't switched at all, Wiley and Gutman. But then Wiley goes out and scores 2 goals against Charlotte. That's why I'm not a coach. But I think Wiley's done really well, especially in a position that's not his natural position. I hope that he gets some extended time playing left back, because I think that'll be good for his overall development. But it's tough to take Gutman off the field because, you can see that the guys really like him. He's relied upon out there, and obviously he brings a lot to the team going forward. So it's definitely a good problem to have. But when Etienne is fully healthy, he's going to be starting on the wing. So interesting to see what they do with Wiley's minutes there.
Well, and at the same time, you're now in a year where you've got Open Cup and you have now Leagues Cup. So in a perfect world, you're probably playing close to 50 matches. And you need this kind of depth. And the fact that you're getting to see what Caleb Wiley can do on the left, whether it's wing or left back, is going to help because of, and I mean, you've been with teams that have done deep runs in alternate competitions, and you know how important depth is for a club that wants to make deep runs in multiple competitions. So when you've got guys showing up early in the season like Caleb, it gives you, I would think, a lot of assurance that, okay, when Etienne Jr. is healthy, we know Derek's going to start. But the fact that we can rely on Caleb at the same time, say in an Open Cup match or a Leagues Cup match, if we need to, that gives you that extra sense of security with everything going on these days.
Totally. So important, especially with, like you said, with all these tournaments and games and international call-ups and everything. So I think it's fantastic for him. He's going to get plenty of opportunities. And same thing with somebody like Noah Cobb. Right, we've got 2 center backs being called up for international duty. So, there's an opportunity for him as well. So the depth is always important. Always, always, always important. There'll be injuries throughout the year. Obviously, we saw it, extensively last year. So yeah, it's great. Yeah, I think that Wiley, it'll help his confidence that game for sure. Because I thought going forward, the first 2 games he struggled a little bit. So I think that it was awesome to see him get on the score sheet a couple of times, and I think that helped his confidence for sure in that position. And the depth is like you said, is going to be really important, especially if you want to have success in all these tournaments. And I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what anybody's plan is for this Leagues Cup, but I guess we'll see.
What do you think about Leagues Cup in general? Because it gives Major League Soccer the chance to challenge itself against the best in Liga MX. Yes, I know that it's, you can look at it as a television event, but at the same time, I don't think there's any better challenge than challenging yourself up against the best in a league that has no salary cap and can spend and do whatever they want. I think that if you want to challenge yourself and continue to be seen in the world sphere as a league that's not just the top 12, but probably a top 6 by 2026, that you want to have stuff like this in Leagues Cup. What have you thought about the idea of Leagues Cup?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm torn. In one sense, I still think that we hold MLS Cup way up here. And so because that's the case, and I know that the prize money in Leagues Cup is very good. And that's the motivating factor, to be completely honest, right? Because guys' salaries and bonuses are tied to MLS.
Yeah.
MLS play, not Open Cup, not Leagues Cup, nothing like that. So, to ask guys to go out there and give it everything they've got to this tournament that, you might make a couple extra bucks on, but it could affect seriously your financial outlay the rest of this year or maybe the future is tough. So, the prize money definitely factors in to how much guys are willing to go out and give it everything they got. And really, we can only base ourselves against these teams if they're both going for it and we're both going for it, right? If it's 2 teams playing their backups, then their backups are likely going to be better than our backups because, just the salary discrepancy. So I don't know. I still think Champions League is the biggest barometer of but I get that that's midseason for Mexican teams and it's early in the season for U.S. teams. So it kind of puts us at a little bit of a deficit. So maybe this midseason tournament is more equal for us as MLS teams. But again, it's just how teams are going to approach it. And if both sides go for it, I get it. Then the Mexican league has got so many more fans than MLS in general. And so MLS is trying to take advantage of some of that and bring them over and have them watch and all that stuff. So I get it. The potential's there and we're still trying to grow it. So I'll be interested to see some of it for sure.
All right. So last question, and I apologize if we go a little AET this morning. It has to do with Verde. Since you are wearing green, there you go. Yeah, there it is. Man, at 10 o'clock in the morning, you're sitting there with that one. I tell you, right there with you, brother. Austin losing to Violette, who in the Dominican Republic in League One scores 3. Amro Tarek had an absolute banger. Unfortunately, it was an own goal. You're down 3-0 to a team that hadn't played in 289 days. You come back to Austin, Texas. They only can call an NPSL team in New Jersey, grab a couple of players with relationships with Violette FC, and it's apparently okay. They come up with 11 and 3 reserves and walk out with the tie. What did you think about that kind of a seismic result? You're talking about Champions League being, one of the markers or the marker here in this hemisphere, and you have a team like Violette come up and bite you like that if you're a Major League Soccer team.
Yeah, I'll preface this by saying I did not watch the away game. I had no interest in watching the away game, but that just shows the naivety, if that's a word.
Yeah, it is.
Of a team that's never played Champions League. To go down there, it's not even at their home stadium. There's no atmosphere. To lose 3-0, I don't care if you play your academy team. You can't lose that game 3-0. Mm-hmm. That's shocking. Regardless, lose the game 3-0. You come back and you play your starters, you should win that game 5-0. Mm-hmm. So it's an embarrassment. It's embarrassment for the, I don't think for MLS, because like these things happen, right? I mean, upsets happen. It's an embarrassment for Austin for sure. I could see, I watched the second half of that game. And obviously at that point, Austin were pushing, but I couldn't believe it 0-0 at halftime. Like, that's terrible. And obviously Josh Wolf walks right off afterwards after shaking the other coach's hand, which you don't see him do very often. So, an embarrassment for the club for sure, especially for a good team. Like Austin are good. They're not just sneaking up on teams, and they're not just like, lucky. They're good. I like watching them play. I like Wolf as a coach, and they've got a good team. So shocking on so many levels.
Yeah. Folks want to know what you thought about Owen's banger. Assuming that you know the Wolves, what do you think about the Owen Wolf goal?
Yeah, I was happy for him. Yeah, that was great to see. I think that there's always that difficulty of playing your son, where it's like people view it like, are you doing him favors? Has he earned it? Right. But from what I've seen from him play, I mean, shoot, even in that Violetta game, he almost scored a banger on a bicycle sidewinder thing late in the game. He's looked good. I was happy for him. He took advantage of that Salt Lake City air and scored a banger, but happy for him. But yeah, I think that Wolf, I don't know what the preparation was going into that game down in, the DR or wherever they played that game.
It was DR, yeah.
Yeah, but obviously wasn't good enough. Like those second team guys, that's a failed opportunity to, if I'm Wolf, I'm looking at some of these guys like, do I trust you to, go into a big game now? Because they failed miserably, anyone that was on that field.
No doubt. All right, what's going on with Beyond Goals so you can get out of here and I wish you had another beer.
I will have another beer.
There you go.
No, we're close to working a little bit more extensively with the Atlanta United Academy, so working on that. So that would be super exciting down the road.
Very cool. MF Parkhurst on the Twitters at BG Mentoring. Get out of here and please fulfill your shirt. Please be safe and enjoy your St. Patrick's Day, my friend.
You too. Enjoy the March Madness. We'll catch you later.